Welcome to the Best Sports Betting Podcast, where we'll talk about reviews, previews, tips, and all things betting related. Brought to you by bestsportsbetting.co.za. Now, on to our hosts.
Podcast. It's the 19th of March, 2018. With me, as always, is Simon, and we're powered by Playbet. Simon, how's it going?
I'm all right, Rob. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I've stopped trying to count the podcast numbers. I think we'll have
43.
43,
if I'm not.
Yes, 43. And then once we get to 50, we should probably just do a reset down to 0 or something. But yeah, so crazy weekend of sports. I mean, straight out the gate, like a lot of people moaning about results. So I think we're going to be more talking about rugby and then a bit of cricket in this episode. So let's start with a breakdown of the rugby. Did you catch any of the Chiefs-Bulls game?
I didn't, Rob. I didn't see that game at all, but I do know the result.
Okay, yeah, so the Chiefs were down 28-7. I think it was even 21-0 or something like that early on. I managed to get some Chiefs in play at 15-10 then. And then, going into halftime, the Bulls were up by 14. And they just didn't rock up in the second half. They lost 41-28, 27 unanswered points in the second half. So, I mean, a good show there, but I was having a discussion with someone else, and the bookmakers are very scared to change their lines. They know that the Chiefs are favorites. It doesn't matter if the Bulls are up by 28 points to 0, 21 points to 0. They don't move their lines that much. I mean, I got 15-10, which is a straight win. It's not great, to be honest.
Absolutely.
And this also ties into the Sunwolves game, which was played on Saturday, where they really snuck the Lions win against them.
By 2 points, yeah, it's 35-point favorites. The Lions only won by 2 there, yeah.
Yeah, and for the longest time, the Lions were 28, 29-point favorites in that game. It was just, It was mind-boggling. I mean, it was half-time was 19-17. No, it's still going to be 25, 30-point favorites. So bookmakers are really scared.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I think it's obviously risk management, and look, I mean, I think you'll find if you really get down to the nitty gritty, there's a good reason for that. I think sometimes it depends on the team, especially if it's a very high profile team, they'll definitely try to protect themselves more and rather lean on the side of the better team, even if they are losing, and that spread might look difficult to cover. Yeah. But it definitely allows. It makes some opportunities for punters to back underdogs in that situation.
Exactly, and I mean, I said last week that the 35 points against the Lions is pretty big. When last did someone actually cover the spread against the Sunwolves? So, that I can actually remember comfortably, and it's been a while.
Absolutely.
So I think it's more of the Lions being pretty shit and the Sunwolves just being Sunwolves. I'm putting on a good attacking display, but I'm not going to read too much into that for the Sunwolves. I will read a lot into it for the Lions, though. Then Saturday morning we had the Highlanders beating the Crusaders, something which I fancied. Cracking game of rugby, really good game of rugby. Probably one of the better games of the weekend. It could probably have gone either way, but the right side won at the end of the day. So
absolutely. Yeah, I think the Highlanders I wouldn't say they've been a sneaky good team because they've always been pretty solid over the last few seasons.
But they have always been a sneaky good team.
But absolutely. No, they have. Yeah, they have. I must say, I also lean towards the Highlanders there. You sort of posted that on the podcast, but I was quite surprised to see a lot of people favoring the Crusaders in that match because I don't really see any reason for that. But yeah, and then you also got a winner with the Stormers, which is also a lean of yours at home, who quite comfortably beat the Blues. And again, there was a flurry of money for the Blues, just like there was against the Chiefs a couple of weeks ago, and they ended up losing.
Yeah, and I actually quite fancied them 1-12 as well. So I had a stab at the outright and a stab at the 1-12. Only one came in, obviously. I didn't expect them to win by 17 points.
No, sure, I don't think anyone would have.
And I was actually kind of hoping that the Blues would get a late try in there just to bring it into the 1-12. But
I mean, look,
good win for them there.
All in all, I mean, in terms of Super Rugby, and I think we should talk quickly about the Six Nations, but the bookies must really be grinning like Cheshire Cats. I mean, definitely. so few of the favourites covering the spread, and that obviously goes for the Six Nations as well. Did you catch the England-Ireland game, Rob?
I did catch a game. We fancied England. I did have England in an accumulator, but Irish just too strong. You know?
Yeah, no, I couldn't really pick a winner there, but I must say I was quite surprised to see so many people making quite strong cases for both sides. I mean, I think we can now safely say that Ireland are the better team, and obviously going unbeaten in the tournament and overcoming England on home soil with arguably nothing but pride to play for. I think, yeah, it's quite impressive, and proud they should be.
Yeah, and it just shows. I mean, the Irish weren't great early on in the Six Nations. They were not looking fantastic. I watched. I think it was the game against France where they snuck a win, or it was the one against Wales. But congratulations them, St. Patrick's Day. Might as well
Absolutely
go the whole 9 yards and pick up the win.
Yeah, and then Italy. I mean, Italy covered the handicap as well against Scotland, and it took a 78th minute penalty kick by Greg Laidlaw to seal the deal there for Scotland as well. And then in terms of France, Wales, I must say I actually had a late bet on Wales here, which I lost. I didn't expect France to replicate their performance last week against England. I really didn't. I thought Wales might give them a bit of a hiding, actually. But yeah, France put in yet another impressive defensive performance. And they were definitely the surprise team for me in the Six Nations as a whole, I think.
Yeah, definitely lots of improvement. I mean, that forward pack is quite beastly, and I think they're probably one of the best sides in world rugby on paper, but it's just the enigmatic French side that just never seems to clicks once a World Cup or something like that.
Yeah, I just thought after England last week, I thought we could see a bit of a hammering from Wales here, but not to be.
Right. Well, then going back to Super Rugby, I mean the Lions Sunwolves winning by 2 points. We spoke about that spread, and then we had the Jaguars Reds. No one really cared about that game. I don't think they cared about either. 7-18 must have been an absolute bore. Didn't watch it. And then Waratahs Rebels, where the Waratahs upset once again. Upset the odds and came out 24-point winners over the Rebels.
Yeah, I think the Rebels were probably the most favoured team in Super Rugby this week. It was also my lean. I must say, I was a little bit surprised when I saw the price move completely against me because the Waratahs opened 9-10 and they closed closer to 6-10. So there was quite a bit of Waratahs money, despite the fact that most South African punters seem to fancy the Rebels, myself included there. But, I was reading a bit of the press before that match, and it really, really did seem that the Waratahs were determined to get the W for this one. They really did look really, really amped to kind of turn their season around. I mean, not that that's necessarily an indicator of anything, but, so that was probably a bit of a warning sign. But, I must say, I mean, a 51-27 hiding was not expected.
Especially going into halftime at 10-20 with the Rebels, up by 10 points, Looked to be another Rebels win on the cards, but not to be. So then that wraps up the Super Rugby, and you had, a winning best bet on, the tennis last week?
Yeah, I just thought Kevin Anderson should certainly not be, the bookmakers were laying 5.5 games with him against Nicholas Kiko, who, look, in fairness, is a clay quarter, but he was playing really, really well. So Anderson ended up winning that 7-6, 7-6, so we easily covered the handicap there. And then, obviously, Del Potro beat Federer yesterday in a cracking match, a final, and Federer actually. Del Potro actually fought off 3 Federer match points at one point. It was 40-15, and he was obviously on match point, and he still ended up winning the match. And that's actually his first Masters 1000 tournament title, which I was quite surprised to hear because he has won quite a few Grand Slams. But awesome to see Del Potro back after a long injury, and I think we're going to see a lot of him.
Yeah, look, I'm not a big fan of these. Well, I don't want to say the ATP 1000 tournaments, but more of a kind of Grand Slam, major kind of guy. But I did hear it was absolutely cracking match, and I heard lots of complaints as well about some bookmakers not offering too many odds on it. I'm not going to mention names, but a certain bookmaker had 4 or 5 or something like that pre-match bets, and then 4 in-play bets. So.
Wow. Okay.
Well, others would have had, a couple hundred, and then,
I think
150. And this is the big bookmaker I'm talking about.
Okay. No, sure. I'll tell you, I think the bookmakers would have made it. First of all, it was a great match to trade because if you'd taken Del Potro pre-match at 2-1, you were very quickly getting even money and bigger on Federer in play. And it was a very interesting match because, the swings and momentum were all over the place. But, Del Potro also had it really tough because obviously playing Roger Federer is never easy with the crowd always backing. I mean, they were They were cheering every time he hit a fault, Topacho that is, and he actually got very worked up at one stage and said to the match umpire, listen, you got to keep these people quiet. But unfortunately, there's not much he can do. But
what's he going to do? Play in front of an empty stadium? I mean.
Of course, and all he can do is tell the crowd, listen, please keep it down, have respect for the players. But, unfortunately, humans being humans, that works them up more, and then they feel the need to make even more noise. So, but I'm very, very glad for him. I'm glad he got the win against Federer under really tough conditions. And I wouldn't say Federer was having a bad day either. So,
it's also nice to have a bit of a mix-up there for a change instead of one of your big names. Or, Zapata is a fairly big name, but he's not a Federer kind of Nadal.
Sure, succeed. He's
that league,
No, sure.
But you wanted to chat a bit about the South Africa-Australia cricket with regards to Rabada and the third test coming up.
Yeah, so obviously South Africa and Australia are facing off in the third test now in Cape Town, if I'm not mistaken, with the series tied 1-1. Both tests have been very one-sided affairs, and I really hope this one can be more competitive. But obviously, there's a bit of controversy now with Rabada and his ban for unsportsmanlike conduct, and I think it's going to be really tough for the Proteas, knowing that they might be missing their best bowler, and obviously now the best bowler in Test cricket. What do you think about that judgment? Obviously you've seen the video, Rob, but do you think it was too harsh?
He squares up often against the batsman. Look, he's a young man. He's going to have a short temper, and he needs to bring that under control. And it's difficult to kind of justify his behavior, because at the same time, if I saw an Australian or someone doing it, I'd be absolutely fuming. So, what's good for the goose needs to be good for the gander as well. So they do need to, it's a bit harsh, yes, but something does need to be done, especially in the context of how things have been in the series with the whole Quinton de Kock,
absolutely.
Warner,
this is the thing. You can obviously then argue possibly, there's double standards here. There's obviously the nonsense with Warner as well and what he said, and the main issue for me here, and I guess the umpire or the match referees can't really take us into account, but I honestly just don't think we're going to have half the contest on our hands with Rabada missing from the Proteas batting attack. So, look, I'm sitting on an Australia draw no bet ticket for the series. So, as much as I would like to see Rabada play, it would be great for my chances if he doesn't. But I think that this I think the series is ruined without him there. I really do.
Yeah, especially considering how well he did in the last test.
And
our massive lack of frontline bowlers. Morkel's basically retired now. They're going to be bringing him back for the third test in Rabada's absence, or who's going to?
That's right. Yeah.
Is it going to be Morkel?
Yeah, it's Morkel. Yeah.
Ooh,
yeah.
Okay, that doesn't go very well. So I think.
No, that's chalk and cheese. Really, it is chalk and cheese. He's the best test bowler. He's not. This is going to make a massive difference. If this was, these two teams looked pretty even going in, and I just think this is going to be an absolute decider. I think Australia will win both the next two tests, to be honest.
Okay, so not looking good for you, say there. And just a quick one, kind of off topic before we move into this week's sports. You've had a look at the new EasyBet website. They launched about a week and a half ago, and you did a write up which will be going out this week. What are your kind of sneak preview thoughts on the site?
Oh, it's much better. I must say, I wasn't a huge fan of the initial sites, and it's much better user experience, much smoother, much more attractive. I thought the colors of the interface were a bit harsh, and it's just much easier to use, and it makes me want to go there and bet, and I think that wasn't really the case when I first went onto the website. So I think it's a job well done.
Yeah, they used to be plagued with problems with pending bets, and I'm not sure if they've actually changed their software providers over the back-end providers. So I'll need to have a chat to them and just ask, and actually, put some bucks in myself and see what happens, because they had that problem where you take an in-play bet or a pre-match bet, and if it wasn't football, it would literally sit there pending for I want to say a trader, but it probably won't be a betting agent to accept the bet. So if you're taking over 2.5 goals in, let's say, a soccer game, and you see this team's attacking, and still 0-0, and you're like, shit, the goal's coming, and you take over 2.5 goals, and your bet's accepted as pending, and a goal scored in the next 5 minutes because you saw it coming, they'll they were more than likely to just cancel that bet.
Yeah. No, that's a serious issue. And then the other thing, of course, was that when you wanted to withdraw funds from your account, you had to email them, and it also used to take an age. So that's apparently been sorted out. So that will be a massive improvement on the banking side of things.
Yeah, so I'll have a chat to them, and we'll get your write-up posted quite soon. All right, let's have a look at the upcoming week of rugby. We're not going to talk about the international soccer. I don't think there's going to be too much interest in that. Let's go straight into the Super Rugby with the Crusaders hosting the Bulls. I think that's going to be a bit of a bloodbath.
Yeah, I think you're right there, Rob. Sure, that's certainly not a game I'm going to be betting this week. But I think you're right there. The one that caught my eye was the Canes are hosting the Highlanders. And I tell you what, if the Canes weren't coming off a bye here, I would definitely fancy the Highlanders +5 in Wellington. But to go against the Canes on extra rest to me is asking for trouble. So the bet I like this week is actually the Lions to cover the 10-point handicap against the Jaguares. Obviously there's the travel factor, as the Lions will have to travel
also the
from
Lions
South Africa.
being shit factor.
Well, there's always that, Rob.
Yeah.
Having to travel from South Africa while the Jaguars stay at home after their loss to the Reds. But I think that their close encounter with the Sunwolves will encourage them not to be complacent. I really do.
You say that, but you look at their last match. I mean, you would have said the same thing going into their match with the Sunwolves. Their last match was not quite a sneaky bum victory, but it was that they beat the Blues they lost to the Blues, and then they snuck past the Bulls, really. I mean, look, it was 14 points, but still wasn't impressive.
Sure. Look, I'll be honest with you. This card doesn't appeal to me much, but that's the way I'll be going. I think it's quite tough. As I said, I would like the Highlanders plus the points against the Canes, but on an extra week's rest, which I think is so important in rugby, I really do. I think that line looks right to me with the rest. So I would lean Lions. Not a strong pick for me. And yourself, Rob?
Yeah, look, it's a very, very strong weak card with your powerhouses playing the minnows. I mean, Lions, Jaguars, Stormers, Reds is where I've had a little look, and the Lions 11.5. It's just a bit too big for me to back the Stormers on that.
Yeah, I agree.
I'll probably have a stab at Stormers 1-12 there. I'm sure there'll be some cracking value on that. I don't want to take the Reds on the plus. I just don't trust them. But if the odds are good, I'll take a much smaller stake on the.
Yeah, and the Reds have had a pretty solid defense so far this season as well. Pretty low scoring games. So obviously, in low scoring games, taking a plus handicap is always good. So I think your 1-12 look there is pretty awesome, actually.
Okay, and then in Hurricanes Crusaders, I don't really have that much of a look. I mean, it's going to be an interesting game. I will probably be backing the Highlanders there. Not that I would take a bet. I mean, have you seen the odds that you're getting on the Highlanders? You're getting almost 2-1.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can't ignore that.
You make a good point there. I think if you're going to play this game and you want the Highlanders, don't take the points.
Yeah.
Just take them on the straight there, on the money line. But yeah, as I said, that game, I would be all over the Highlanders +5 if they'd both played last week. But with the Canes on extra rest, it's a tough one. I think it's about right. But I want the Highlanders to win.
Okay, and then for my best bet, I've probably been going to the Sunwolves Chiefs game, and I've been saying it's dangerous to go against the Sunwolves just because of how they've been doing, and I'm going to go against my own advice, and I'm going to be taking the Chiefs on the handicap. 24.5 is a huge handicap. I don't think the Chiefs are anything like the team or like any of the other teams that have played the Sunwolves recently. The Chiefs are ruthless. They're not going to let the match be close. They're too powerful. They're too strong. Look, your Sharks smashed the Sunwolves, so I'm expecting a very similar kind of performance from the Chiefs, albeit away from home. But I mean, look, if you're getting a side like the Rebels putting up 20 points, and you look at how the Chiefs have been playing, especially that match against the Bulls, how they just rocked up in the second half. I'm liking the Chiefs on the handicap there, but I do like Sunwolves on the plus halftime handicap when those get released. Should be around 12.5, and I do quite fancy that. But at the moment, my only bet this week is going to be at the Chiefs on the minus.
Okay.
Right, so pretty short show today. Is there anything else that you wanted to cover?
No, that's it, Rob.
All right, best bet. Are you going to be having a little sprinkle, or are you going to be?
I am. Yeah,
as
I said, I'm not really in love with the Super Rugby card, but my best bet will be the Lions -10 against Jaguars. I know we're in disagreement here, but I expect this week the Lions will want to prove once again that they are the team to beat in the SA Conference.
Yeah.
I still believe anyway. So
Yeah.
it's not exactly a tiny number to cover away from home, but I'm still not sold on the Jaguars, and I think they'll cover the spread.
Okay. Yeah, and my argument isn't really against your bet. It's more just against the fact that, the Lions have been pretty
Sure.
average at best. We've got the South Africa Australia match coming up. I'm going to have a proper gamble on that one, and I'm going to say Australia is going to win the toss. So, it would be nice if South Africa would have won the toss for once, but I think Australia are going to win the toss. So that's an absolute gamble for anyone that wants to make bets. It's not going to be a best bet, but it's going to be a best gamble of the week, Australia to win the toss. I mean, I'm not sure what the statistics are.
Whatever you do, Rob, just don't take 8 to 10.
Well, you probably get 8 to 10 at some bookie.
That's not good.
Yeah, it's absolutely pathetic when that happens. I really despise it when they put up lines like that. It's pathetic, really. It's just greed.
It is. There's bookmakers out there which post lines with 3% margins, so 20 is just out of this world bad.
Yeah, I mean, look, South Africa, you're going to have to accept that we aren't a leading bookmaking country. So, 10% I can live with. 9 to 10, it's not ideal. It should ideally be like 19 to 20, 5% margin. But look, I'm happy to take a kind of 10%.
Bet365, the biggest bookmaker in the world, is between 10 and 15. So, look, they're obviously a massively commercial bookmaker. But yeah, look, there's nothing to shake a stick at about 10%, but 15, 20 is not acceptable.
No, not at all. And then, so before we close off, we've got some Varsity Cup fixtures tonight. We've got CUT versus Ike, Shimlers, Madibas, Wits and MU, Tuks versus UJ. Just to touch on this, and I've been looking at all the prices for these, and the prices are literally all over the show. You have some bookmakers like World Sports Betting who opened up their lines yesterday already. I think it was even Saturday. Which is nice, but just having a look at those lines, they had Ike's -22.5, BetX had them 25.5. There's lots of different.
You probably find the reason for that is that the limits are very low, so they move the lines much more easily.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But I mean, they don't all open up at the same time, and when you'd think that they'd kind of follow the other bookies in it, and it seems like they aren't. So I'm actually quite interested to see what Hollywood's lines are going to be when they release them. But right, so my best bets: Chiefs on the handicap against the Sunwolves, and let's have a recap of yours, Simon.
Lions -10 against the Jaguars in Argentina.
Okay, great. Guys, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again next week. Hopefully again with 2 winners would be nice. We had 2 winners last week. Let's hope for 2 winners next week, and have a good one. Cheers, guys.
Ciao.
Thank you for listening, and don't forget to visit our site, Facebook and Twitter pages. Let's go make some money.